As I reflect and meditate on the story of Luke chapter 2 verses 1 to 14, I'm reminded that this isn't just a story that we get to hear once a year. It's a story that keeps happening in different forms, in different places in our lives. For instance, in verse 1, it says that a decree went out and everyone had to travel to be registered. Overnight, people's lives were disrupted by decisions that they didn't get to vote on or control. And honestly, that feels quite familiar. Today too, there are so many families that are uprooted because of economic pressures, conflicts, natural disasters, or even something as simple as a transfer order. Even students feel this, moving cities for education, adjusting to new systems and policies, dealing with rules that change without any warning. This verse gently reminds us, even when life feels shaped by forces beyond our control, God is not absent in those transitions. Then verses 6 and 7 describe Mary giving birth far from home, with nothing going according to plan, and placing Jesus in a manger because there was no room. I think of all the moments today that don't look like the life we had imagined for ourselves. Parents raising children without adequate financial support, young adults trying to start careers in uncertain economies, people navigating relationships that often feel fragile, facing health issues they never expected. Yet this moment in Scripture quietly tells us that God often begins His greatest work in places that feel too uncomfortable, unprepared, and unfinished. Meaning can emerge even in the middle of chaos. The manger especially stands out to me, a feeding trough, hardly the symbol of holiness, and yet that's where God chose to show up. In our lives today, the manger moments might be the things that we feel embarrassed about, or the areas that we think are too messy, too complicated, or too ordinary. But it's often in these very ordinary places that our stress, our limitations, our honest moments, that something sacred can take root. Then in verse 8, we see the shepherds, people working long hours, doing tough jobs, mostly ignored by society. Even today, that could be sanitation workers, bus drivers, housekeeping staff, nurses, night shift security guards, all those people who keep the world functioning but rarely get any appreciation. Yet the first announcement of Jesus' birth is given to them. So it tells us something very profound. God's message is not aimed at the famous people or the so-called powerful, affluent people, but at those who are simply doing their best to get through the day. And then comes the angel's words in verse 10, "Do not be afraid." Now these words land heavily because fear is something that all of us live with. Fear of not finding our place, fear of disappointing others, fear about money, about the future, about our health, about not being good enough. Our world moves so fast that fear often becomes the background noise of our lives. But the first thing God says into the darkness of that night and into our darkness today is not condemnation but reassurance. Do not be afraid. Not because life is perfect, no, but because God is present. The angel then describes the birth of Jesus as good news for all the people. Not some people, not the religious elite, not those who seem to have their lives sorted. All people. And that challenges our world today. A world that draws lines, creates categories and boundaries, and decides who belongs where. The Christmas story pushes back and says, everyone belongs, everyone is seen, everyone is invited into joy. It says joy to the world. And finally, the angels proclaim peace on earth. Now, when I hear this today, it feels both hopeful and somewhat painful, and painfully necessary too. In a world holding so much conflict, stress, loneliness, and exhaustion, peace isn't just a religious word. No, it's something that we all deeply crave. The peace that Jesus brings isn't the absence of problems. No, it's the presence of God in the middle of real life. A kind of peace that steadies us when the world feels unsteady. And as I reflect on these verses, I realize that story isn't distinct at all. It's a story about people under pressure, people on the move, people doing their best, people feeling unseen, people afraid, people wanting peace. In other words, it's a story about all of us. And maybe the message of Luke chapter 2 is this: that even in a world that feels ever so crowded, chaotic, and uncertain, God still meets us exactly where we are, in the unexpected, in the inconvenient, in the imperfect, and turns those places into bright beginnings.